Hello everyone and welcome to the weekly Poker Showdown brought to you by Party Poker. I am your host Jamie Staples and thank you very much for joining me this week. We have a great interview with Anatoly Filatov. He is a Party Poker Team Pro. He just came off $1 million score at the World Series of Poker of Europe. So I wanted to talk to him a little bit about that tournament specifically, but then also what led him to get to play a $100,000 buy-in at the World Series of Poker Europe. We talk a little bit about Twitch, some of the gossip in the poker world, including re-entries. So all around, a really good conversation with a guy that not a lot of people are going to know unless you're in the Russian poker community. Thankfully, his English is really good, so we were able to have a great conversation. But a guy that I actually didn't know too much about until I had this conversation today. It was a lot of fun, so I think you all will enjoy it as well. But before we get into that, let's talk about some of the online and live results from this week. This week on the online felt, we need to address the elephant in the room, and that is the PartyPoker Million event, which obviously did not run on Sunday. If you did not hear about this, you probably weren't playing it. But basically, there was an issue where the day 1D players were not seeded into day 2, and then it wouldn't let the tournament clock be paused, and people were playing for an hour. It's just a big mess. So we cover that whole thing in the interview, and I talk about it with Anatoly a little bit. So I'll defer you to that interview if you want to check out information about that. But, you know, it will run next week, and we'll hopefully we'll have a winner to report next Sunday. But other action on the online felt, we had a winner by the name of Patrick win $40,000 for winning the 1K Masters on Party Poker. So that's a pretty sick screen name. Not a bad one, Patrick. I like that. Also, well-known pro and November 9er Spacey FCB was runner-up in that event. So, GG to him. And the High Roller Bounty Hunter, a player by the name of I Run So Good. I love that screen name. Took that down for $41,000 total, including bounties. I wish I ran good on Sunday, man. I mean, I'm not whining about my whole career. I'm just talking this past Sunday. I was so close. Painful. I'll get him next time. Over on PokerStars, we saw Benapart from the UK win the $109 Sunday Million for $119,000. So congratulations to Benapart. So we've covered the online results, but this week was really a lot about live poker. There was a ton of live results, and we have a lot to talk about. The first we want to cover is the WPT Montreal at Playground Casino. I love playing this event. I love this casino, so I was really sad I had to miss this one. But Twitch calls, so that's okay. I didn't get my chance of winning it, but congratulations to Jeffrey Hume, or Hum. I'm sorry, Jeffrey. I'm not sure if it's Hum or Hume, from Halifax, Nova Scotia, so a local Canadian, taking down the event for $500,000. Absolutely amazing result with a 1,109 player field as well. 3.3 million in the prize pool. Congratulations is in order for Playground Poker. I mean, definitely the leading poker room in Canada, and they don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. So that's really exciting for my home country. Congratulations to Playground as well. On the other side of the world, we had the WSOP Europe wrapping up. Two notables to mention. The first one, Daniel Negreanu is the World Series of Poker Player of the Year. This is an incredible grind. I mean, when I first started playing poker 10 years ago, I was reading books written by Daniel Negreanu, and he's had so much success, right? He financially and then also accomplishment-wise, he's accomplished everything you could imagine in this game. So for me, when I see him continue to show up and play his heart out, even in, you know, like small events for him, $600 events, $1,000 events, I just think it's very honorable, and I really look up to how hard he's worked. So a massive congrats to him. Whether you like the Player of the Year system with points, I know there's been a lot of discussion about that. You can't debate that the work ethic that Danny puts in is quite amazing. So huge congratulations to Danny Negreanu on being the World Series of Poker Player of the Year. Second piece of news, and a good one for my team. Team Party Poker Pro Elke has won his second career WSOP bracelet. He beat a massive field of 2,738 entrants to claim $190,000 first place prize. Another guy that I was watching play poker a decade ago when I was first getting into it, and still winning bracelets today. So absolutely amazing, well deserved. Congratulations, Elke. The last thing I want to touch on before we get into the interview with Anatoly is some party poker news. Now, we talk about the Million event in the interview, so I'll leave that. But we have another promotion going on this week, which is 500K Spins Storm. Basically, how this works is there's going to be a leaderboard for 3 different buy-in levels on the spins on Party Poker. So from 25 cents to $3 is a leaderboard, from $5 to $20 is a leaderboard, and from $50 and up is a leaderboard. And at certain times, 8 GMT, 8 a.m. GMT to noon GMT, there's going to be a leaderboard run where you get points, and if you place in this leaderboard, you are going to win tickets. So $500,000 is being given away in this, which is pretty amazing. If you like spins, this is going to be a good time to play spins. Also, there's going to be a free roll every Saturday. This is at 1700 GMT. And basically, there's a bunch of spins ticket given away as prizes. So that's where the $10,000 is made up of. First to 10th place gets $250 spin ticket. 11th to 30th gets a $100 spin ticket, etc. All the way down to 1,155th in this tournament is going to get a $1 spin ticket. So that's a free roll. That's free money. I haven't even registered this one, man. You know, like I'm going to be playing some big events, but I kind of want to flick this one in on the side. Make sure you go check that out. You can go to the partypoker.com website or wherever country you're from and check out the spins promotion because I think it's some pretty good value. So check that out. But now, without further ado, let's hop into the interview with Anatoly. Joining me this week on the podcast, we have Anatoly Filatov. I think fair to say at this point, Anatoly, a legend of the game, and coming off a huge result in the WSOP Europe, a third place finish for just under $1 million, right? Or under €1 million. Am I right on that?
Exactly.
So I wanted to start off the conversation. I mean, this is the elephant in the room. What was the tournament like? Third place in a $100,000 buy-in at the King's Casino. Walk us through.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Jamie. Yeah, that was one of my best experience in super high roller tournaments, and I had only one bullet in this one, so it was 72 entries and a lot of good players and some recreational players too. The bracelet on the line, so. I started late rage and then finished day one with 3x of starting stacks, 6 million. So I was second in chips. Munich also had the same stack, but then we started to play day two. I had a great table with Daniel Negreanu on my right and Phil Ivey on box number one. It was so fun. Then the things goes, crazy. I lost a little bit. Then I had a crazy spot with Daniel and Munich, so I triple up, but we all had more than average. So after those hand, I had like 3.5 or 4 average stack, and it was crazy, absolutely. I had a bottom set, and they both had top 2 pair on King 9-7 with the flush draw. So after that, I put a lot of pressure on the opponents and run really, really well. So was a chip leader for like the whole tournament till the final table. Then I lost a huge flip to Jean-Noël Torel, just top 9. I had pocket queens and he has ace king. And the short stack had like pocket eights. It was a crazy hand. So I opened 2 bigs, short stack 5 bigs, just shove. And Jean-Noël Torel just pushed all his chips into the middle. I called. I think that was the right decision. So the flop came queen, 8, jack, whatever. And then Jean-Noël said 10. And 10 was coming. So I lost this one. We backed to day 3 to the final table. I still was chip leader, like 40 million with the average of 18 million. If I wouldn't lose this one, I would have 50% of the chips in play. That sounds crazy, especially in this high buy-in, but it is what it is. So we started the final day. It was a nice table. We had a lot of fun and all short stacks. They just busted first. Usually in these tournaments, it's always short stack doubles, then other guy doubles, and it can go crazy. You could be the chip leader, then you busted. But this one, the short stack, just Phil Ivey busted first.
Right.
Then he shoved ace-5 offsuit. I was questionable in my opinion. I don't remember how many bigs he had, but
right. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask about that, like having Phil Ivey and Daniel Negreanu on your table on day 2 before you get to the FT. That's to me those two. I mean, you throw in Phil Hellmuth and it's like you have the 3 most iconic poker people ever. That's got to be weird.
That was cool. I liked it. And actually, Phil was in a good mood. He even smiled. So yeah, I told him that. We had a lot of fun. We had Sam Grafton too, and Sam had some jokes. He said like, so Phil Ali won 2 pots. He had like aces over kings against Munich for a huge stack, and then he had like set of jacks on ace jack deuce board whatever against ace jack. So he busted one more guy, and Sam Grafton said, "Wow, that's amazing! How can Phil Ivey outplay people?" So we had a lot of fun there. And then Daniel put his camera on Phil and started to ask him questions, made his video blog, and what else. So we had a lot of fun, a lot of good tables. And yeah, I'm glad that I played with all these legends. Actually, I already played with Phil before, and I busted him in my first super high roller tournament in Macau, 2014. I even remember the hand. I think it was like 5 deuce suited against 4 queen 4 suited or something like that. So we played button over big blind, crazy hand, and I busted him. So
Right.
that was cool.
That's amazing. Awesome. Okay, so you get to the final table, lose the big flip the day before to not have half the chips in play, but you're still chip leader, and then Phil busts in 8th.
Yeah, then Phil Ivey buzzed that other show stack. I think that was Daniel or maybe Oli Shemian. I think Oli Shemian busted after. I bust him. And then the Daniel busted, or maybe like Daniel was first. I don't even remember. So, and then we start to play this crazy game when everything can happen. So I tried to play solid. I didn't try to put too much pressure on the opponents because they were very solid, and I was a little bit card dead in the middle of the tournament, so I couldn't even play one hand. I didn't like how I played few hands, especially against Fogelsang when I decided to turn to bluff my 9-7. Actually, I shouldn't open this hand, but I was card dead. I decided to play and whatever,
Right.
and then I decided to turn it to bluff on the river, and he hits a nuts flush. But even if he wouldn't do that, he may probably call with a lot of hands in his range. So it was a bad bluff. I didn't lost a lot, but then things start changing. But we played. So Marius busted Phipps, and then Christoph played a few interesting spots against Jean Noel and against the champion Wei Lim, and he busted, and then we get 3-handed. I was like shortest, but not really short. And with
Right.
this structure of the tournament, when you post the big blind and big blind ante, like the same as big blind, it's going crazy. I don't really like this structure because you're not that deep enough to play this one. So I'm not sure how should you play your ranges. Can you use limp strategy and whatever? I'm not
Okay.
sure we should. No, I don't think that anyone calculate something here like the bet sizing of opening and whatever. So
So,
I'm
so
new to
just so I
that.
understand,
Yeah,
because I've never played a format like this. So you're 3-handed, and the big blind publishes the antes and the big blind, or how does it work exactly?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the
You
big
post
blind
big
and the
blind and then you
antes.
post the ante that is
Right.
the same amount as the big blind.
So that's
So
a lot of money going in the pot out of position.
exactly.
And
And even if
what
you have
happens?
like 46 big blind or 40 big blind,
Mm-hmm.
you play twice more expensive. And the same
That's a
thing
lot.
in the heads up. You post small blind and then you post big blind and big blind ante. I'm
And what
not
does the
sure
small
that
blind
is.
do? I mean, that's tough. Well, I guess with the ante, it doesn't really change the math, but it's still, yeah, it's pretty intense. It's
I
pretty
don't think
intense.
you have to have like folding range in the heads up here, but I'm not sure. Maybe you should open like with a bigger sizing, but then I don't know how to adjust there. So
Mm.
before that, I was in a heads up in on the Caribbean poker party, like in Dominican Republic against Andre and Mateo. So we play heads up, and I felt like, yeah, this I didn't like the structure, so I didn't feel good.
Right.
And actually I played a heads up in Brazil, the 10K tournament. It was the same, and I was shorter than my opponent, uh, Nolet, Guillermo Nolet, and he won like very fast. But I didn't like the structure, so I'm not sure what kind of hands should I just shove with my like 15 bigs because it should be much wider.
Yes.
And and calling ranges too. So it's so difficult for me. I don't complain because like the structure is the same for both of us, but it's just different thing.
Right. Yeah. Different. I mean, you've just listed off like 2 heads ups and a 3-handed in a WSOP Europe. I mean, that's not bad, man. Not a bad
Oh,
little
that's
run.
cool. Yeah, I like to lose heads up, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
So I mean, €1 million ish. I mean, incredible result. Congratulations on that. How was the rest of the World Series of Poker Europe? I know you got 16th place, right, in the main event.
I started with the WSOP circuit main event, like 1700 buy-in. So I made day 3 online through PartyPoker. So that's why I came to Rosbarev earlier. So it was 70 left. I played till top 16. I lost few pots, like I chop ace 9 over ace 5 and whatever. So I busted 16s, and I was a little bit upset, but I was, I didn't play live for a long time, so I really enjoyed this time. And then I played 250. So in this tournament, I spent only 1 bullet again, and I busted on 10th place. It was 5 places paid.
Right.
Yeah, I lost the big hand against Ryan Reis, queens over ace 8. So yeah, I busted. Then I played 25k, 3 bullets. I lost to the champion. Ace queen over ace 5 suited. It was 3-way all in. Like I had ace queen, ace 5, and ace 3 suited, so I was a little bit ahead. And then I lost. And then Burns won his first bracelet for this series, and that is it. And then it was like this tournament. So I finished third, and then I played main event, busted.
Pretty good series, though. I mean, overall, pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great result, and yeah, I'm satisfied with it. I'm not like completely satisfied because I finished third and I started as chip leader and was Jean Noel, who's a recreational player. But I like that he made such a great result. He's a very nice guy. I just like Googled him, and like he invented a lot of good things. So that's good when you make the business, and then you can play poker super high roller, travel the world, and that's a cool thing for all of the players. That in my vision, that how I see the poker recreational players. They just enjoy the process, and they don't care about the money, and every person on the table is very friendly for all recreational players. And I think like even if someone make mistake, like put the wrong sizing or whatever, he can change his mind. No one mind. It was one spot when Jean Noel or someone, or maybe Paul Fua, he made the wrong move like occasionally, and we all were like, okay, if he just changed his mind and raised less. So
Right.
I think this is a good atmosphere there, and we can accept, like the regular players can accept this, but the tournament director said the bet should stay, but whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess it's a little bit different too when it's like the World Series of Poker is on the line, and there's bracelets on the line. There's got to be some sort of standardized rules just because of the integrity
Yeah, I
of
mean,
whatever the
it's
bracelet
not really
is, right?
fair if some players have like, benefits or whatever, but in this tournament, when everyone knows everyone, we can afford ourselves to do that. So we just should stay friendly to
Right.
amateur players.
Well, I think we've seen that, in the Triton series that recently has sort of taken off over the last couple of years. We've seen a tournament series that really caters towards recreational players, and if someone like you said, if they make a mistake, like no one has an issue. It's like, all right, it's recreational player first, which I think, I agree with you. I think that's the right approach going forward.
That's a good thing, and I like the atmosphere there. There is no bullying or whatever, no tricks, and even all the regs, we had a lot of jokes, so it was cool. I liked it.
Great.
Even the pressure is big, but we still could have fun. When I busted in 250k, it was okay. I can take it.
That's great, man. I mean, I want to know about how did you get to this place, right? Because I know you from Twitch primarily. I originally heard of you when I stumbled upon your stream, and you were streaming, like a bunch of the 215s and some of the 530s. And at the time, I was like, oh, damn, these are some boss stakes. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. So I really looked up to you when you were streaming on Twitch, like all the time. As like, oh,
I don't stream like a lot. I don't stream a lot now, but I started. Well, when did you start streaming?
5 years ago, just over 5 years. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty close to mine too. So I started 2013.
Wow. Where did you stream in 2013?
It was like Russian site goodgame.ru.
Right.
Then I moved to Twitch, and then it was YouTube. So I started 2013.
That's amazing. And was there quite a big community in 2013 that were
Oh,
watching
it was
like Twitch
completely
streams?
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was streaming mostly on Stars at this time, and then I get viewers. So I became more popular. My results get better because I put a lot of work on my game there. And then 2014, it was a great year for me. The first like great year, I guess. So I was like the best Russian player 2014, the best European player. I hit a lot of good scores, my first big wins in live poker. So after this year, I became the ambassador of Russian poker site, like PokerDome, the other poker room.
Hmm.
Then for this year I was an ambassador. Then the contract get finished, then I like was streaming again. I streamed for some different sites, and then when Party Poker decided to expand to the world, they came to Russian market and they asked me to stream a few times and came to Sochi to play the tournament. And we had a good meeting with Tom. We spoke a lot, and I liked what he said about the goals and the aims for Party Poker for the next 5 years and whatever. So it was like just one meeting, and we decided that we're good for each other, and I became Party Poker sponsor pro and ambassador. So
Right.
after that, I stream on Party and I play on Party and travel to many series, and I like how live poker is growing now, and I like that Party went to the market. And the other sites, they start to do a lot of good things too for the players. So for the players, this battle between the big giant companies like
Right.
Party, Stars, and 88A, whatever, it's very good. So
Absolutely.
for the players, it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm similar to you in that I have worked with, well, two poker companies now. And one thing that I know is true within both those companies is everyone's excited for competition. Because whether you're on the top or you're down low, it gets stale if there's nothing to fight for. If businesses just have an easy way to mint money, there's no competition, right? So I've had the same experience. It's just like very liberating to work with Party Poker this year because everyone is just cares so much, dude, and are just like scrapping and doing everything they can to like encourage every new player to like just try it, and try and gain the loyalty. So that's a really exciting feeling, and I think it's good. And hopefully we have more competition in the poker world going forward.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I like that the Rob, he likes to play poker a lot. So he and Tom, he also plays poker. They understand
Yeah.
what does what do we feel. That's why they do a lot of good things. And Party Poker buy. I think that Party Poker buy like the loyalty too, because we just expand so much money into the tournaments, into some PPL stuff and live stuff. So and it's a good time for players to make extra money from this too.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. We almost lost Tom this summer, man. I thought he was going to win the World Series of Poker main event. I was like, this is it. He's gone. Like, he's just going to retire on the 8.5 million. And like, what are we going to do? No, he couldn't quite get it done.
He's still there.
Yeah, exactly. So can I take it back even a little bit more to like the very beginning? How did you find the game of poker? Like, what were the first steps?
Oh, that's a question. I don't even remember how many years ago I started. So I was
How old are
studying
you,
in the
Anatoly?
university. I'm 31.
31. Okay, looking good, man. I
Oh,
wouldn't
thank
give you a
you.
day over 25.
Thank you. So I started playing on the university. Uh, so my friend told me this is a cool thing on TV. The poker was on TV in Russia for this
Hmm.
time, and I saw this like stream when players played. I guess it was like Kitty Libert and maybe Jennifer Harmon and whatever Semi Farha, all this the
Hmm.
old school stars. And I saw the show, and it was a good commentary from Ilya, who's always commenting like EPTs, millions and whatever. He's like the best commentator in Russia for poker. And then we started to play on this small Russian site for like $2 and whatever, and then it goes, more and more. I get involved deeper to that, and then I just played a lot. I played sit and goes, then I go to the tournaments. So, and then I just start to make my blog. Yeah, then I start to make my blog, and I start to make YouTube and whatever. So I started with just the smallest buy-ins. I played cash a little bit, and
Right.
then I went to sit and goes and multi-table tournaments.
Awesome. I mean, it sounds similar to a lot of the professionals I've had on the podcast this week. Something that I noticed.
I get free $50,
Yeah, free 50. That's how you got going? Yeah.
No, $50 from Poker Strategy.
Right.
So it was on Party Poker. My first 50, bucks was on Party Poker actually. So I hope they're happy now if they have something from me, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I started with this $50, but I lost them.
Right.
And then I started with other $50 and whatever. When I won my first 5K, it was $5 buy-in tournament.
Right.
I was so happy, but then I lost 4K. But for this time, I didn't even know how to withdraw the money.
Right.
It just wasn't on my account, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then in 1 year of like serious game, after the 1 year, I guess I went to the World Series.
Really?
So
wow.
Yeah. And I lost a lot there.
Okay.
Zero cashes, bro. Zero. Can you imagine? First 40 tournaments, first 40 live tournaments, 0 cashes. I was so bad.
How do you ever play again? 0 for 30. How?
When you start losing and and you like the competition, so you have to continue.
Okay. All right. That's counter to me. I feel like I would just like hang up the gloves, so to speak, and just be like, all right, well, it's not for me. But you saw it through, and good thing you did.
That's it.
Yeah, that's cool. I think something that correlates to me in hearing the stories about how you started is almost everyone I've talked to on this podcast so far has spent a lot of time. Time seems to be the metric when you start your poker career. You need to play a lot. You need to work on poker a lot, and you can sort of improve.
I was obsessed with that.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with the game. I could play like the whole night. I read all the book that I found. I saw all the videos, whatever. So I was obsessed. I saw the High Stakes Poker Show. I think this show was one of the best. I liked the Tom Dwan, how he played. I was dreaming. Like Daniel Negreanu was there. Actually, he was like 26 or something. So young. And now we can play, on the same table and have fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Who was your favorite when you were coming up? Like, who did you idolize the most, do you think?
I didn't really idolize any player, but I think that I liked how Tom Dwan played. I liked his crazy bluffs because I like to bluff too. Right. And he bluffed a lot, and it was crazy. It looked so crazy. I remember a lot of hands, and I like when he played against Patrick Antonius or Phil Ivey, so they all like to bluff. I remember like crazy bluffs, and for this stage we played completely crazy. We didn't think about the ranges. We just like 3-bet all the time. Yeah. Ace, deuce, offsuit, whatever, any positions, just 3-bet, bet. Bubble, we didn't care about the money, so we made lots of mistakes, but we were winning players. And I remember a few hands like crazy bluffs. One of the craziest was when Phil Ivey 5-bet shove 5 deuce against Lex Felthus.
Right. Yeah, that's now infamous with Lex's Twitch fame.
I also like the hand when Ike played on the heads up in Bahamas or whatever. He was very young. Mm-hmm. And was like 5 high on the river, and he just like bet raise, and he just shoved or something like that. It was so crazy, and of course Tom Dwan.
Yeah, have we lost that? Because you don't see those plays anymore. Are we past that?
Yeah, we passed that. And I like how Dario Minieri could like 5-bet shove 4-5 suited on the World Series, but now this time is gone. Poker changed.
Yes.
All players start to play better. We play our ranges. It just, the 4-5 suited is just out of your range. So that's why we don't see these solvers and things.
Is that sad? Like when I think of poker, and I think a lot of people think of poker, they think of the heart, You have to have the heart and commitment like Tony G to like put it all on the line in a spot. And now we're thinking about ranges and sort of being balanced. And And in effect, we are never putting it on the line. We're always measured.
We can put it. You still can put it if you play against True Teller and
Right?
Cash
Okay.
Games or
Okay.
against some other guys. They, when I see their hands, I don't understand. They just on other level.
Mm.
So it's just like the higher level now. Like MMA. When UFC started, it was crazy. But now all the fighter, they know how to wrestle, how to hit, how to kick, how to they
Right.
have to know everything, jiu-jitsu, whatever. And poker the same. You have to know, especially the tournaments. You have to know all the stuff, how to play with a short stack, out of position, in position against cheap leader. So it's just the new level, and I like it.
Right. Yeah. Good. I like that perspective. Um, so what's next for you in poker? You just hit $1 million score, right? So what sort of things are you working towards and trying to achieve?
Um, I still dreaming about the bracelets. So that was my first final table on the World Series. Before that, I was in Vegas maybe 9 times, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any final table.
Right.
That is ridiculous in my opinion, but I'm still trying to reach the final table in Las Vegas. This summer I was pretty close. I busted on the 10th place in 10K Turbo, and I busted 11s in 5K Turbo, the first and the last tournaments that I played.
Right.
And I lost like 70 to 30 both of the time. So I was pretty close to the final table, and now I made the final table, and the next goal is the bracelet.
Right. Awesome. Well, I wish you best of luck on your journey to get it done, man.
Thank you.
I
And
think
actually, you said that I won. I just scored $1 million. But if you compare it to the buy-ins, it was like nine and something buy-ins in this tournament. When you compare it to the buy-ins, it doesn't sound that crazy, right?
right. Yeah, absolutely. I
So
think well, there's two ways of looking at it, right? It's the way that poker players look at it, like me and you, and we're like, okay, so that's 10 buy-ins, and like that's good. But I think it's more fun, especially in a podcast, to look at the real life dollar amount, that's
exactly.
associated because that's the allure of the game. I think to a lot of people, is the
Someone can
craziness.
win like 5 million in prize money, and he's still losing.
Yeah,
So you never know how much you lost before, and especially in this all super high roller tournaments, it's difficult because we have a lot of horses. Like most of the pros that are playing, they get staked to these tournaments because you have to have the massive bankroll to play it for your own money.
hmm
And we have some amateurs who are, I think that I'm not sure, I don't know how it works, but I think that most of them there is like they stake some players,
right.
and it's kind of battle between the whales, and we are just professional players. We just like to play and to achieve the goals. And people, they saw that you won 1 million, but if you compare it to real money, it can be even nothing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, it depends what percentage you have, and if you're in makeup, like I know stories have come out about Bryn Kenny, this year before he won the Triton event, right? And I'm not sure on the exact figure, but he was stuck, somewhere between 1 and 3 million in makeup, coming into the year, and he cleared it before the Triton event, and then he took like a huge percentage of himself, and had this crazy cash. I think probably one of the guys you would consider to have the most aggressive bankroll managements would be Bryn Kenny. He swings a lot.
I don't know how it works, and people can say a lot of things, but we never know who has money or
No,
who
you
has
don't.
not.
You don't. I don't think it's a
So
problem. I think it's just part of the game, the mysteriousness of what's happening in the high stakes
yeah, that's
world.
that's good for TV. Actually, I was a GPL before. I participated as a manager,
Mm-hmm.
and the players we played like good players. We played for fame, and we get paid by hour. And I think that this super high rollers, they're just the idea is pretty close because most of the players they get staked, and they just play for like some amount of money, the expectation. And maybe in the future we will come back, and if we can sell a lot of pay-per-view or whatever to poker, some good players who really deserve it can play and with no risk or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that could happen in the future. We just need sponsors.
Yeah. Well, I think we need Twitch and YouTube. We need exposure to a lot of people that are interested in watching poker. And I don't know if that's going to come through television anymore like it did 15 years ago.
But yeah, poker is a little bit longer than football game or whatever. So
Yes.
it's difficult to watch it all the time. But people who are really obsessed with poker, they love to watch the game. They can
Absolutely.
spend hours doing that.
Yep, I agree. 100%. So wanted to bring up some poker gossip this week. Get your thought on this. I have a tweet here from Sam Greenwood. So Sam tweeted out this week. There's a discussion to be had about whether tournaments allow too many rebuys, but pros playing crazy to try and build up a stack is good for recreationals / one bullet entry people, and doesn't really happen at the highest stakes. So I'm reading this as Sam Greenwood saying people firing a bunch of bullets and trying to run up a stack is actually good for the recreational players and the one bullet people. What do you think about that?
It's kind of, it has both two sides. So the one thing is that you try to avoid a lot of big pots, and they could win some big pots against you if they put enough pressure, and that's a bad thing. You don't want to make like hero call that you have to do, especially, and to bust, especially in the beginning of the tournament. The thing that they're making the prize pool is a good thing, but then
Right.
Dominic Nietzsche, he made 7 bullets in this tournament. And when he busted, I don't want him to re-enter because he plays very well,
Yes.
even if he busts. So he has a lot of chances, to build the stack. I think like for some of the players, it's not a cool thing. But what I didn't register from the beginning because like I don't want to play 200 big blind deep against cash players. They will just try to bluff me a little bit more often. I don't want to, make some hero calls in the first level or whatever.
Me neither.
So
that sucks.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided to jump in the late range, and when I read the poker news, it was like, oh, Fogelsang busted at level 1, Nietzsche busted at level 1, and Burns had 7 million after level 1, 13 players. And I was like, how's that possible with like 250 BB deep or whatever? So in my personal opinion, I don't like that much. I think that we have to make like 1 or 2 re-entry or something like that. But
Right.
in other side, if you run good, like I did, so I run okay. I try to avoid some big pots, but Alex Foxen made a big bluff against me. But I called him. That's why I had a stack. But
Right.
yeah, the pressure is too big. So I think we should make like 2-3 re-entries, and then if you play with 1 bullet, you have a bigger chance to win the bracelet.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it really depends on the tournament for me, because I can think of my local casino having a $1,000 tournament, right? And people come from all around my province in Canada to come play this event. And it's like they drove 3 hours, and maybe if this person busts, they want to re-enter. It's not full of sharks taking advantage of a good situation. It's like people are having fun. So in that instance, I'm all in for 1 re-entry. That makes sense to me. But in a tournament that is a smaller field where there's a lot of recreational players and then a lot of pros, it's just, I think to me, it's clearly in the favor of the pros. Because, let's take $100,000 buy-in. Let's say the recreational player loses 10% of that on average, so 90,000. The pros, I think, are going to be taking money out of the field. So if you just add more pro entries, I think more money is going to be lost by the amateur on average.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the true thing.
Yeah.
But when Dominic busted 7 times, it was okay for me because like the price pool getting higher.
How much Dominic money do you think you have now? Like, did you scoop up like 60,000 of Dominic money in that tournament, something like that?
I don't even know, but it's very difficult even by psychologic. If you made 7 bullets, you have to finish third at least.
Yeah.
To win something. That's insane. And actually, the prize pool was the prize zone was 11 players and 72 entries. So I think that I was wondering about that. I thought that it should be maybe 9 players in the money or something,
Mm,
but
right.
it's still tough. It's tough for amateurs. But if you're amateur and you don't want to do all this stuff, you can just maximum late rage like Sean Deep did.
Right.
But he's not an amateur. He's a pro. He
Yes.
just Chris Ferguson. He just late raged. So they just avoid all the things.
Yep.
Then one double up and you're in. 40 bigs, boom.
And that's it. That's the next topic that we're gonna cover in the poker world. I feel like right now we're on re-entries and player of the year races. I think that's 2021's problem of like how long can late reg exist? You know, I think we're going there for sure. So, Party Poker Million, did you play on Sunday? Did you make it in?
I did play, but I busted before everything get crushed.
Right. Yeah. So I need to touch on this because obviously this was unfortunately the biggest party poker news of the week, and it's not the best news. But so there's a $215 buy-in million that's happening every week on Party Poker now, and there's 4 days to get in. Day A, B, C, and D. And day D is on the Sunday of the day 2, right? So you can play the whole tournament in one day. So the players that played this past Sunday, there was a glitch in the system. This is the first time it ever ran where they didn't get put into day 2. So that's obviously a problem. They've played day 1, like they've made it through to day 2. They're not in the tournament and it's started. And furthermore, the system wouldn't let Party Poker pause the tournament. So it was just running for about an hour before I was able to stop. There's players waiting to get into day 2. So it's just a mess, right? No matter what you do, you know, people are going to kind of feel bad about this. So the resolution that came down, I have it written down here just so that I make sure I get it right. So the players that played the first day 2 and busted, so if you made day 2, you get paid for your cash. So you got paid your cash out. That's on top of the prize pool. All players that were still on at the time of the tournament pause were paid the next prize rank up. So they laddered up. And then all players that made it through into day 2 receive a share of the 1 million guaranteed prize pool. 50% was split equally, and then 50% was split based on chip equity. And then furthermore, all the players that made day 2 were given $215 Party Poker Million tickets. The 1 million guaranteed, which by the way was going to overlay about 80,000 before all this happened, ended up being a 1.6 million prize pool given out by Party Poker. So I mean, we're on the team, right? Like we don't really have the ability to influence like these software glitches, but it's not a good feeling for players to have that experience. But at the same time, I'm super content with how things panned out in the end. Like 600,000 was paid on top of the guaranteed prize pool to make up for the mistake. So yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts and
I was very disappointed about this thing, and I had some messages in my Instagram, and people asked me what's gonna happen and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How's it possible that software works like that? And that's kind of that's true. We should run this tournament. I like the idea that this is 215 buy-in, and the prize pool is so big in the first place would be amazing. And this is the tournament that all the players wants to play. When you get into the Sunday, you just want to play this one and win a lot of money. That's the idea, the American dream or something like that.
Right.
To get rich fast. And the thing that happened that's so disappointing, especially if you would have like a big stack or if you busted before. I busted before day 2, so I get nothing.
Right.
So I'm okay with that. But yeah, and I hope that we will continue doing this tournament. I heard a lot of things, but the drop, they will still decide will they run this one again or not. So
Yeah.
I hope they will, because the idea is great. Maybe we have to make one more starting day, or make like each day on the week we can make the starting day of this tournament and then reach the prize pool.
Right.
The idea is amazing, and I like the tournament, and I hope we not get screwed up again, and we'll play and the decision was amazing in favor to the players, because Party just decided to give away like 600 on top, this is a huge amount.
Yeah.
So even overlay and this 600, that's insane. And I hope this tournament will happen again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something ever since the start of time, $215 buy-in, 1 million guaranteed. There's something prestigious about that. It's like it's in online poker's DNA. So
It's just like the news making. This tournament is a news maker.
Yeah,
Before
it is.
that, it was Sunday Million was 215, the classic one. It became like the legendary tournament.
Yeah.
And we have to create something legendary on Party Poker, and everyone wants to win this tournament. My friend won. Some other guy won, and he said, "I won this tournament," and I was like, "Wow, that's cool."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I finished second once.
Second place. Wow. Okay. Not bad. Yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to touch on that. I had another question personally before we get into this live hand review because I'm curious on your thoughts on it. But I sometimes feel like the poker community, it's a global game, right? Like everyone plays from around the world, and especially streaming on Twitch, there's all these sub communities that I don't get to participate in because I don't speak the language, right? So I think there's a lot of English streamers and typically people from sort of Central Europe and Canada and even Central America. They'll watch because they can speak English, and there's not too many niche streamers that will stream in other languages because it's just easier in English to catch a large audience. But the exceptions are Brazil and Russia, and then to some extent Germany, where I think there's like pretty core communities for all of those places in the world that end up being like different and don't necessarily interact as much when it comes to content. So I wanted to ask about what is the poker community like in Russia? What's it like on Twitch in Russia? And is there any differences from your experience, obviously interacting in both, being a sponsored player, in how things work in the poker world in Russia as opposed to like Central Europe or North America?
That's a good question. Actually, I think that the poker community in Russia get changed. So it just became much bigger. And before that was the biggest forum. It was like a few biggest forums that people were like using: CGM, Gypsy Team, and Poker Strategy, I guess.
Right.
So the first two they died, and Gypsy Team was the biggest one. And the community was it was still small, and everyone were like close to each other. We knew each other, like we started to travel all together or whatever. But now it just became much bigger. So I don't even know how it works now, and we have a lot of trolls on Twitch too.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, it's always like that. So yeah, especially if you have donations things like this.
Oh yeah.
Why you ask for donate, man? You just want a lot of money. You're homeless or something like that. So, but I didn't stream for a long time. Actually, I just started to work on my own brand through my social media, Instagram mostly, because in Russia we use Instagram. In UK and in US people use Twitter a lot, but in Russia we use Instagram mostly. So I don't even know how to say that, but we have like small community of players who are traveling to all the stops, and like we know each other, and we texting each other mostly in like WhatsApp messengers and like Skype and whatever. So we just getting aside of like the main community. We don't have the main platform where you discuss everything. Like before that, we discussed hands, and people worked on the game together. But now, like most of players, they just get to their private groups and try to work on the game with that. So it just changed. It changed, and the main market, like the English speaking market, is much bigger. The audience is bigger, and I think the audience is not better. People, they just like, they used to pay for the content or whatever, so they're more polite to you. They're more, I think so. So they're more used to do all this stuff. They more respectful. So I'm not sure about Brazil, how it works there, but I know that the Russia and Brazil are the biggest markets for poker.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a gray area. So
right. Well, it's the same for
you
me.
know.
Like, I don't know how it works either, which is why I'm so curious, because it's just like, it's a world that I can't break into and understand. But I think there's some similarities, at least when it comes to forums, you know, hearing about Gypsy Team. Like, I think of 2+2 forums was like where I started talking poker, basically. Like, that's when I really got into it and I communicate with everyone. It's the same thing in the English community. Like, 2+2 forums have mostly died, except for, you know, there's a few people left. It's a core community, a little bit more toxic maybe, but like communication has moved to places like Twitch and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and all that. So
Yeah, and now before that I had a blog on Gypsy Team, but then the atmosphere became very toxic. I was like accused in having bots or whatever and some other stuff, but yeah, I'm not banned anywhere. So
right,
and I always play for my own. I put my hand history on YouTube or Twitch. So and we just start to build our own brands, like in just speaking to your own audience through the YouTube, because there is a lot of new players, new faces on YouTube, and
right,
Twitch is different to YouTube. I was surprised. I thought that should be like the same people, the same audience, but Twitch is different, and I like YouTube more. So I stream. When I stream, I stopped streaming a lot. When I stream on both, on YouTube and Twitch.
right.
But I liked YouTube more.
Yeah, it is interesting how it works. Like on my YouTube channels, I will get, you know, very fishy comments, you know, about hands, like very, very beginner experience on YouTube. And then on Twitch, you know, it's your core community. Like you have some grinders in there that are like, you should maybe included a few more like folds in your range on the turn. You know what I mean? It's a very different experience on the two, but I think there's a place for both. So yeah.
And actually, to build the community on Twitch, on YouTube, you have to stream regular. So that's the main thing. When you stop doing that, people just start to forget you, and maybe they will start to watch someone else. And
Yeah.
actually, right now we have a lot of streamers. We have a lot of English-speaking streamers too. Like, it's not the big thing. A lot of good cash players started to stream. So before that, when I started streaming, just Rex told me that's a bad thing, because you're learning people. You teach people. You teach people how to play. That's bad for poker. That's bad for environment. Fishes, became to a better player. So that's bad. They're taking your money. But now all these guys, they just start their own stream channels now,
Yeah.
and so on. And the things are different. We don't have to stay close, I think. Actually, because I was streaming before, I didn't participate in any group of people, of players who worked, who had to work on their game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I always found that mindset silly, because the way to grow poker is not to be quiet about it. Like, you have to tell people it exists for the game to grow. And
This is just the process that you cannot stop.
It's
That's
prisoner's
the thing.
dilemma, right? Like, if you don't share your thoughts, someone else is going to. And by the way, they're going to make some money off it too. So you might as well share your thoughts, because guess what? It's going to be out there. There's hundreds of thousands of us that play poker. Way too many of us think we're good. People are going to talk about what they think is a good thing to do and not a good thing to do. So get on board. And we've seen people do that. You see Dominic Nietzsche, who's been talking about his new app on
video,
Twitch.
yeah.
He's been on there, right? You see Goosecore streaming, like you see some of the very best in the world sharing their thoughts for free on Twitch. It's like just 5 years later than when it started.
4 years ago, if you think about that, it was like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Duck Polk was like the first guy from like this high stakes
Yes.
high
Yeah.
stakes game who started to do that. And after that, he quit the poker and made even crypto channel too. So things are different. And now we have the Federer Halls made his like poker course, the Ben CB, like a lot of info. And
Yes.
the best players, they start to win even more than they had to. So the best players, they're still winning, and they win a lot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was amazed this past Sunday playing poker at how great the games felt. I was just like, wow, I really genuinely feel like things are easier today than they were a year and a half ago. Oh, and by the way, all this stuff is overlaying by 5%. So I'm immediately like turning an ROI, you know? I was just like, wow, the poker world has so much room to go to be truly efficient. You know, you think about the stock market, like you're never going to get an edge just by like pulling a trade where like someone made a mistake. Never. In poker, you can find it every day. Hundreds of them. All over the place.
But I think that feels getting tougher too. So there are two sides. The best players, they start to win more, but
Right.
there is a lot of players who just stop winning.
Right.
And they quit poker, or maybe like they start to play like lower limits. So, you know, you have to work on your game to stay on top. That's the thing now.
The middle has been cut out from poker. I feel like
Yeah.
there was a lot of people in the middle, including myself. That I wouldn't have got started if there wasn't an opportunity for an average or bad pro, you know, like 6 years ago, because pretty much you could spend some time, click some buttons, and you'd figure out how to make enough money to live 6 years ago, you know, 7 years ago. That's definitely not true anymore, for sure.
It is. You're right.
Yeah.
But if you started to stream at the right time, so you have your media value, and now you can earn money like to be attractive to other players. That's the thing too.
Yep. Okay.
Good choice,
Anatoly.
Jamie.
Sorry, what was that?
Good choice, Jamie. I did the same. And actually, you always can make some money from Bill Perkins.
I mean, listen, the Bill
If you
Perkins
put the
prop
right
bets, they're a thing, you know, but they're not easy. It's a lot easier to make money just playing cards, I think, than taking on Bill Perkins prop bets. That's my take.
Actually, you should bet like that your weight difference should be a few pounds, but then you have to stay in this weight for like half a year. That should be the next.
I mean, we could have done that, but man, it was an intense bet. We had Matt on the podcast for the first episode, and we both asked, like, if we had the amount of money we had now, would we do it again? We both said no, even knowing we would have won.
Why not?
It's too hard, man.
There was no risk for you. Like,
there was no risk, but like, if I could know right now, if I could do it again, and I knew I was gonna win, so I'd get paid $75,000, I wouldn't do it. It was too intense, man. The pressure that was on us, and then the time scale in which we did it. It probably took 5 years off my life. It's crazy. It was nuts. I'll never do anything like it, but I did learn a lot. Like, I think at the end of the day, I'll be better off in that, you know, it taught me a different way of living, and like.
So what happened after? Did you get to your normal weight or like your previous weight? What happened? What's the difference in your weights now?
I don't know what it is now. I've definitely put on a lot since I quit smoking like 4 months ago. So that's been a bit of a battle, and slipped in some bad habits. But no, we did get to the same weight, and then we took on a second bet to like get shredded, basically like under 10% body fat, and we failed that one, unfortunately. And then sort of we haven't booked any bets since. So
10% of fat.
Yeah, that was our second bet.
That's very athletic.
Yes, yeah, very much. We didn't make it.
So how much you lost for this bet?
We lost $50K. It was 50 to win 150. So we gave him back 50 out of the total 150 he paid us. But
good job, Bill. I like Bill Perkins. He's a very nice guy. Actually, he went to Moscow, I guess, last year, and he liked it. So maybe you have to go to Russia too.
I'll have to check it out. I've never been. It's definitely somewhere I want to go, for sure.
That's a good thing.
Okay, so let's check out this hand. We got a live hand review. You got it up on your computer?
Oh, yeah.
So I haven't seen it yet. I just see the title from what Party Poker sent. JC Tran and Phil Hellmuth. That's what we do.
Great. Sounds amazing.
Do you have it ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, play.
Well, watch now. Now we're playing. He was playing already.
What are your thoughts on Phil Hellmuth, by the way?
I like him a lot. I play with him. And, I just enjoyed the experience. And actually, he was always friendly to me.
I love to see
on the
rolling
table.
needle
Sometimes he
he's
picked
one
the
of
guy
best
and
players.
he
Yeah,
didn't
calm
like
him
him.
down for a
Right,
stack
right.
third pair
And it's
left.
so
Remember
interesting,
that?
to see. But
You want to play with me?
with
You
me, he
got
was
it.
always
Alright.
okay and nice.
You've
And
declared war.
I
I've
like
accepted your
that
terms.
we have a lot of different characters on the table, and it's
Yes.
very good
kind
for
of owning
the
himself
game.
here,
And
really,
Yeah.
with the speech.
So I feel like he's not actually serious when he is jabbing at people. Like you can tell when you play with him,
Hellmuth had been
like he's only going
he
to
had
pick
been
on
getting
someone
shown a lot of
if he
bluffs
knows
this
they can
entire
take it.
Premier
You know,
League.
he's not going to try and really get him.
I think he get tilted a little bit sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. 100% he does.
Yeah, but you can
Punish
get
him for
raised.
limping. Yeah, punish him. Teach him a lesson.
Punish the limpers.
Yeah,
And
punish
he's
him.
So
doing it the
what's
same
going
way
on?
all the
It's-
time. Helmut cannot deal with JC Tran limping. He just like
Phil raised
he
that
can't
10
accept
deuce,
it.
so it's Doyle Brunson.
He's raising
It's
kind of a small
okay.
blind.
All right.
It's funny how he announced.
Okay, the
it
raise
was
is
and then immediately
questionable, but
raised.
this is like
It's
Doyle
like
Brunson.
he's just
so
steaming.
Yes.
Oh, he's steaming here.
It's okay. JC defense,
He just cannot bear to be shown
4
up.
5 suited.
Now, of course, in Premier League 3, even though JC
Boom.
won, Hellmuth did make a couple of great reads against him, and I think he's just out to out.
Okay,
Raise
so bottom
there,
pair.
C bet.
Are you betting if you're Phil?
Yeah, I always bet ace high boards against the what is the position?
I don't know how
Big blind,
Hellmuth's going to
right?
butcher this hand, but I just remember it
Uh,
felt like he did.
It's tough to say. We'll see in a second here.
I mean, it's not a great hand to 3-bet with in the first place, is it? But
Nah.
you gotta bet the flop when you
Especially against someone who's quite sticky like JC Tran, who's
Uh-oh.
going to kill you a lot when he doesn't
3-bet
hit,
and a call. 7 of hearts.
He's going to try and outplay you. He's not just going to give
So
up if he misses.
JC has open-ended now. 4 5 6 7. No.
And
he
Hellmuth's
has-
No.
betting here.
still
No,
because
just a
he's
gutter.
behind
Just a
the
gutter.
ball, because he-
He's just betting to try and blow JC off like a type of hand he has.
So, I
or
mean,
you have, like, pocket
Phil Hellmuth,
sixes or,
3-betting,
pocket
C
fives that he
betting,
might have called with as well.
Betting the turn with the
Obviously, I
deuce.
just expect
Like,
JC to
okay,
fold
I don't know what
those on the
JC
turn.
Tran's doing here, though.
He's intending to raise, I guess, but he might be raising
And I
or
wonder
just
if-
fold.
Can you
but
sometimes
I
call
think the
here
fold
and
is-
try and win this on the river if you're JC?
Actually, I like to raise the
yeah, 'cause
flop.
Once you
because
call
his
again
hand
here, it kind
has
of
a
looks
lot
like
of
you have an ace.
4 5.
sidebars,
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
So if you
it's
don't,
too
let's say
often, so
you
Hellmuth tries to
accidentally
get you off those
calls.
big
What do you
hands.
do in JC's spot here now on the turn?
There are 2 options: to raise and to fold.
But
Yeah.
going for the raise, does it make it feel more like a bluff to you?
yeah, it feels more like a bluff, but Phil Hellmuth's the
So-
type of player that doesn't really do too much about it. He'll do,
JC is
it's hard to do. I mean, what do you do here with 10-2?
he's raising, right?
Oh, wow. Okay, he raises the turn. The delayed
The amazing
raise.
thing is Tran can only get him off a hand like this. He must know there's a legitimate chance that Phil has something like this.
Yeah.
So Phil might be
Steaming, look.
folding.
You can just tell he's steaming off his face inside
I mean,
right now.
he's played this hand. Just, you can't
just a
play
fold
like
here.
this against JC.
There's no
you can't
reason,
push JC
you know,
Tran around like this unless you're willing to shove it in,
continue
right?
Yeah,
playing,
yeah.
but,
JC's played this hand really well.
I think that JC should raise the flop.
Right.
He's representing
I'd love
like
to see
pocket
what's going on
juices
in
and
Phil's head right now.
Well,
in
the
his
Tran's
mind.
going to show him that.
and
after,
maybe-
like,
He
for
He
has
sure.
to show after that table
Why?
talk, doesn't he?
I don't even
I'm looking
know.
forward to the
Ace
roll of the wolf
9.
needle too.
Right.
He might be raising ace 9 on the flop too, so it's just only pocket deuces. So we
You just
have
know
to
it's
cut some
coming.
of his hands. So it's pocket deuces with maybe ace 7.
And this is a different genre of poker. Like
Even
we're in
though
a
JC was
different
not going to
time
win this
completely
Premier
here.
League, he did
It's
beat
easy
Phil
for us to
every
say
turn.
now with our modern poker theory of the last 8 years, but at the time,
Guess maybe a
this was the
bit
kind of
lower.
poker that was played, which is like, oh, I don't believe him. I'm gonna float.
Oh yeah,
with
I
4-5.
play. I still play this. I
Yeah.
don't believe you. So
Yeah.
call whatever. Stop. Like 5 years ago, I played it more often. That's
He
the
really
thing.
wants to
Now,
shove, doesn't he?
Still, it's still
Yeah, he
like that.
definitely doesn't want to fold after all that speech. And
Come on, Phil. Let's
he
go.
isn't too
all
bad. He
in.
obviously thinks that he could be.
Phil is
getting bluffed
blocking
here, so
instead
he's
of this
having a good
is-
think about it.
Well done.
Oh, he folds.
He even said nice move.
Actually, the bet
passed,
sizing
the
of
Tran's gonna show
JC
him now.
re-raise was pretty small
Watch Phil
too.
explode.
So nowadays, nowadays, no one.
I'm really on tilt.
You don't really play this way a lot.
Right. That's a retro hand.
Lots of guys
Some retro
saying
players
bluff,
in there
bluff,
too.
bluff, and then
I mean, not that
when I get all
they
their chips,
don't play anymore, but you just don't see them on TV, you know?
I would
Like
like,
Uniball.
to see this hand when Phil Hellmuth would have ace jack
Right.
and JC starting to re-raise small on the turn. Then he get called and there is like the blank on the river. What might he do?
Right.
With
Yeah,
4-5?
absolutely. Especially with someone like Phil Hellmuth does have a pretty tight image, or at least he does to me, when I think about him. So, you know.
And he could make a big fold too. So it's okay to bluff Phil. Yeah, he might just shove the river, so Phil would fold a lot of bluff catchers there.
Serious question, is there any TV equity? If you're on a TV show, you know, and you get to play in these amazing games, do you ever do something crazy just because you're on TV?
Of course, you can have a sponsorship,
Yeah.
like from Adidas or Nike or whatever. I don't really know. I think you have to play your ranges. But, you know, if you're working on your MIDI image or whatever, sometimes you can play the crazy small pot. Then people, you know, get tilted against you. I don't really know how it works nowadays. But if you play against the good regs, they don't really care about all the things.
Yeah, I wonder how it worked back then in those games. Like, how many of those guys were thinking about that? About, like, the ability to get on TV games as opposed to just, I want to win in this poker game. I wish we could ask him 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. You know, 10 years ago was completely different. I liked how it was 10 years ago. Now the people are so serious. And, yeah, there is not a show anymore.
Yeah. Yep. That's the way it is. Well, hopefully poker will continue to evolve. And I'm sure it will. We'll be okay. It'll work
poker
itself out.
will last longer for sure.
Yeah.
We have, live poker is great right now. We have a lot of people playing live tournaments and so on. So poker will continue living, I'm pretty sure. But maybe we'll change the format of the game or whatever. But we'll see how it goes.
New innovations, like the fast fold poker that we had. I remember when that came out originally on Full Tilt Poker. I remember that was amazing when it came out. And then spins was a new thing. Neither of those are like the gold standard of a new era of poker, but they were cool. We'll see. Short deck is a thing now. Maybe short deck will be the next thing.
There might be more tournaments with the short deck, and but this game is completely crazy. The equity is so close, so wow, that's sick. But Asian people, they love to play short deck.
Yeah, right.
Leon loves to play too. He played. He won the 100K short deck. It was a small field there. He beats Phil Ivey, but then he played 50K short deck and he made 11 entries and didn't cash. So this game is just completely crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Awesome. Well, Anatoly, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I appreciate it. I feel like I know so much more about you now.
Oh, thank you, Jamie.
Where can the audience find you? People listening to this podcast, if they want to follow your journey, playing the high stakes tournaments, playing some online, what's the Instagram? What's the YouTube? Let us know.
My Instagram is Filatov Poker, so you have to follow me. I put some nice stuff there. My YouTube is Anatoly Filatov. It's in Russian, so I am not sure it's a good idea to do that. But subscribe. I need more subscribers. So, and let's meet on all the live all the Party Poker live events. So I travel a lot. So right now I'm going to Bahamas. We'll play the crazy tournament there and 10K buy-in. I actually played yesterday online, but I busted, so I will try to revenge my opponents live.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Anatoly, and until next time. Big thanks again to Anatoly for speaking with me for about an hour there. I think it was a great conversation. So make sure you guys check him out on social media and follow him. And let me know what you thought about the conversation. Before I let you go for the week, we got to do the hero of the week, man. Come on, our representative of the podcast. See if we can get some podcast run good for them and get a tournament win. So to recap some of the results recently, Ina Joy played 1D, which was one of our past heroes of the week. Unfortunately, it did not make it through to day 2 in the Million event. So GG. Now, K Thompson 85 did play 1D, made it to day 2. Now, of course, the tournament didn't end up running for day 2. So they are compensated accordingly, right? They're paid out, 50% of the prize pool, split evenly, 50% by chips, as well as another 215 tickets. So best of luck next week in the 215. K Thompson. And we need to run another competition. We get to run another competition. So this week, use the hashtag JSPokerHero. And what I want you to guess is how many entrants are there going to be in Thursday's Million tournament. Okay, so on this Thursday, PartyPoker Million, there's a flight into, it's day 1B, a flight into the event. Actually, it's day 1C, I apologize. So on Thursday, how many people are going to play the flight into Million Day 2? Closest to is going to get a $215 Million ticket, and you're going to get your shot to play and represent the podcast. So get your guesses out on social media. Again, use the hashtag JSPokerHero. That's all you got to do. Number, hashtag JSPokerHero. You're good. You can tag me too. Follow me too. Why not? Follow me. That's all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for watching the show. I very much appreciate it. I'm enjoying doing this. I'm getting better, I think. Honestly, I want to throw this out to you guys because I'm trying to learn about how to be a better interviewer and how to be a better podcaster. So please, seriously, send some feedback to me. What do you like about the show? What do you not like about the show? What could I do better? I know this is like breaking the third wall or something like that, but I'd love to hear from you. So please pass it along. Well, that's it for me this week. Until next week, we'll see you later.